Hi everyone, this is another timeless reading that's for somebody out there. My intention is that this one finds the person or people it is meant for and at the right time. It's definitely not for everyone, so if the storyline that emerges is not resonating with you, it's probably not for you. You can still watch the whole reading because it's always an intention of mine that anyone who is drawn to any one of my readings will gain something from it, whether it's an insight, a piece of wisdom, or just the opportunity to see something from a different perspective. So if you happen to be here, I think you're meant to be here. I will just apologise in advance for any background noise because it's school holidays here in Australia. So I've got everyone at home trying to do this in a quiet space, but I don't know how successful I will be with that. In other news, I decided on the weekend to create a little Spotify playlist of the songs that have showed up in the channeled messages because this does happen a lot for me. I've added all the ones I've remembered so far, but I suspect there are other songs that I've missed and I'll add them in as I remember them. So these are songs that have come up in the videos I've done on YouTube and in the written posts I was doing on Facebook. And there are also some songs on there that were just meaningful messages that I received along my own spiritual journey. I'll add new songs if they come up in future readings as well. So the versions on this playlist might not be the original versions or your preferred versions of the songs, but they're the versions that I've connected with the most. So I guess it's a little bit of a soundtrack to this channel, and if you have been following my work, you might recognise some of these songs from the readings they came in. And most of these songs are fairly well known, but I guess the songs by Australian and New Zealand artists might not be as well known in other countries. Anyway, I'll pop a link to it in the description box. Not sure if it will work yet because I haven't tested it, but it will be a link to the Spotify playlist, and I guess you can check it out if you have Spotify. And if it doesn't work, I'll just scrap the idea. All right, then we're now going to do our love pause, and then we'll get on with this reading. So the love pause is where we send love out into the universe. And this might be about sending healing, comforting energy to someone who you know is in need of it, or it might just be sending that energy out generally with the intention of it reaching someone who needs it. Alternatively, you can do a Ho'oponopono prayer by saying the 4 sentences: thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. And we can also even use this pause for a moment of self-love where you can do something like an affirmation that relates to self-love. I think the one I've mentioned in the past is I will honour my soul by making choices that bring peace and happiness into my life. Or you can just choose one that's right for you. So the love pause is about acknowledging that we are all connected through spirit, and we can use that connection to let loving, healing energy flow within us and between us. So if you're interested in doing the love pause, you can pause the video right now for a few seconds and let this love flow. And it's completely up to you how and where you send this love. And let's face it, it doesn't actually matter where you send it because we're all connected. So any love sent in any direction is going to have a ripple effect that's bigger than we realize. So thank you to everyone who does do this. It's time to pause now, and we will restart on the next slide with the reading. Okay, so this is the spread that we got for this reading. So as I always do, I pulled out the oracle cards first, and then they led me to this cat tarot deck. So at the time I was pulling cards, I was wondering if this reading would be for someone who loved cats. But it turns out that the timing of this is really funny because I photographed this spread just over a week ago, and it was actually a little bit before the Trump-Harris debate took place, which was the one where Trump brought up people eating pets. And of course, since he made those comments, Facebook has just been full of memes featuring cats. And I know this might look like I'm jumping on that bandwagon, but I swear that I really did photograph this before that debate took place. So when I was thinking about this reading being for someone who might love cats, I was definitely thinking about people who care about cats. But of course, the timing of this spread and the debate, because they were so close together, maybe this reading could be for someone who cares a lot about the outcome of this election and who was maybe following that debate closely. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm also not someone who minds too much what political side someone is on, because I think that often is a product of a person's upbringing and life experience. For us to see certain political ideologies as the correct ones, it's because those ideologies fit with the ideas and perspectives we've developed over the course of our lives. And for that reason, I don't see another person's political affiliation as wrong, even if it is different to mine. It really is just something they're aligning with because it seems right to them. So in my opinion, we are who we are because of our life experience. And if we'd been born in a different body or a different environment, and I'm talking about things like gender and race and nationality and religion, or maybe family or socioeconomic circumstances. So if we'd been born in a different setting, we might actually be the same as someone else that we're currently holding prejudices against. And this is the illusion of the 3D world, where we see ourselves as separate and different, and we place a lot of value on what someone appears to be. And then those differences get blown up and taken very seriously. But I do remember being at a meeting once, and there was this exercise where you had to turn to someone you didn't know and talk to them for a few minutes to identify the things you had in common with them. And then you had to share what you came up with the group. And it was so interesting because sometimes you'd be looking at a couple of people who externally had nothing in common, and they would come up with some very unexpected things that they did have in common. And there were absolutely no pairings that couldn't come up with things they had in common. And it was a fascinating experience because it made it so clear that we're all human and we all have things in common. And I guess the spiritual perspective is that at soul level, we are all manifestations of Source, and the bodies and circumstances that our souls were dropped into are just about the experiences that our soul was incarnating to experience. And as I said before, if we'd been dropped into some other scenario, then our life experience would have been something else. And to me, one of the biggest problems we're facing in this world is that there is so much hatred that is fueled by division. And the truth is we really do have more in common with other people than we might realize. And so what I really hope is that even if, we are out there seeing other people as different to us, we don't hate them for being different. I've personally been trying not to follow all the political dramas that are unfolding in the world because I don't want to focus on the chaos and the disunity. I'd rather focus on my own spiritual growth and align with energies that are more peaceful and harmonious. That's the reality I would like to manifest for myself and for the world, and so that is what I focus on. And with that being said, I think we should get on to the reading because that's what this channel is about. It's definitely not about politics and division. All right, so at the bottom of the deck, we're starting with the Knight of Pentacles. This is the energy of slow and steady wins the race. So this knight has a vision that he's bringing to life and he just keeps working away at it. He knows that he will eventually accomplish his mission. So this is earth sign energy, but my guides know that I would read this as a Virgo energy. Now we are in Virgo season at the time that this video will be uploaded, so maybe this is an energy that we can all relate to at this time. I'm being drawn to the first oracle card in this spread, which was, of course, the first card I pulled when I was pulling cards for this spread. It's the flexible card, and it's interesting for a couple of reasons. One is that Virgo is the earth sign that we tend to associate with daily routines, and I have to admit most of the Virgos I've known and worked with have been a little on the obsessive side when it comes to how they do things and their attention to detail. They've seemed to be very much creatures of habit who don't really demonstrate much flexibility. I'm someone who's an Aries with a Sagittarius ascendant, so I have to admit that I do find those sorts of tendencies frustrating. In fact, earth signs generally, I struggle with their energy. But I'm also reminded with the word flexible that Virgo is a mutable sign, and mutable signs do have the ability to be flexible and adaptable. Now, I'm not yet sure where this reading is going, but the flexible side showing up as the first card is making me think that maybe if we're currently operating in a way that is more Virgo obsessive, we might need to move more into Virgo mutability. I feel like this might be suggesting that whatever we've been doing, we've been focused on doing it a certain way because it seems like it's the right way to do things. And perhaps we're not thinking about the fact that there are some problems with the way we're doing things. And I feel like this might be a time to put the mutability hat on and rethink our approach, because maybe there's a better possibility that we haven't actually considered. When I was arranging the spread, I felt guided to include Lord Ganesha in the spread. So this might be a deity that you feel connected to. Lord Ganesha is obviously known to be the remover of obstacles, but he's also regarded in Hinduism as the wisest of the gods. So I feel like Lord Ganesha's energy is here to bless this reading by helping us tap into our wisdom and by helping us to clear away any of the obstacles in our path. I also added clear quartz to this spread. So clear quartz is about bringing us clarity, but it's also a stone that amplifies energies. So the fact that we've got Lord Ganesha and clear quartz, I feel like we're going to be getting a lot of help with whatever the current challenges are. The card in the past position is the moon, which relates to Pisces. And this seems to happen to me a lot, but this is meant to be a timeless reading. But I'm going to upload this tonight, and tomorrow night is a full moon in Pisces lunar eclipse. And I've actually uploaded the lunar reading for that event. And so if you are interested in watching it, do check out that other video because it does look like it will be an impactful eclipse with the astrological energies that were present. Well, anyway, it's clear in this spread that this card is not actually talking about the Pisces lunar eclipse because this card is showing up in the past position. Now, the moon is a card that relates to shadows and illusion, and these are situations where we have to lean on our intuition because we know we aren't really getting clear information about what's going on. Now, the traditional image of the moon card shows a wild dog and a domesticated one, and that's a reminder that we are a little bit of both. We have a primal instinctive side and a side that understands the rules of society and behaves in the way that we're expected to. And there are times when we have to be more one than the other. Now in this image here we see the same idea represented because we have this pet cat that's sitting in a comfortable living room, but it's looking up at the moon and it's actually seeing the wild cat it could be sort of showing in the moon. So the moon card carries this message that sometimes we have to trust our instincts, even if that means we end up doing something that isn't consistent with the ways we've been taught to be. And this is because our learned behavior isn't always right for the situation we're in. I'm actually getting a song lyric now, so that's going to have to go on that playlist, hey? But you will know the line, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But it's the next line that I'm talking about, which goes, when the going gets rough, the tough get rough. Yeah, so sometimes we find ourselves in situations we haven't been in before, situations we can't prepare for, and situations where it's clear that the proper ways aren't really going to cut it. I mean, if you ran into a criminal as you were walking home at night, I don't think politely asking them not to do whatever they're trying to do is really going to cut it. Your instincts are going to kick in and you might run or scream or fight back, and fight back in ways that would be considered quite feral in normal circumstances. But that's what your wild side knows it has to do because it's recognizing that it's in trouble and it needs to do what it needs to do in order to survive. So having this moon card here as the past energy is making me think that there was a situation where you felt unsafe or like things were going to go wrong and you decided to trust your inner guidance in relation to how you handled it. And the way you handled it might have surprised you because it was a little bit out of character for you, or you felt that it was. But the fact is that it happened because at a primal level you understood that it was a situation that required you to get yourself to safety and you acted to do that. So this could be anything, but if we're looking for an example, I'm thinking of those stories where the person is at someone else's house and they feel unsafe and they find a way to escape, either by telling a lie that allows them to run away or by climbing out of the bathroom window or something. So that isn't polite behavior, but of course those people who did escape from those situations will always say that they knew deep down that they made the right call. So anyway, I don't know what the storyline is, but if this is your reading, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So even if no one else perceived the danger of the situation you were in, you did, and you got out of there, and you won't be regretting that decision. And the next card, which is in the present position, is kind of confirming that you won't be regretting that decision because this card is a Nine of Cups, which is the card of wishes being fulfilled. And we can see that this cat in this image is a very satisfied cat. So you're in a good place right now. And so, yeah, absolutely no regrets about how you handled that past situation. Now, the card after this is the Eight of Cups, which at face value looks like it's a backward step because we're dropping from Nine of Cups to Eight of Cups. But the Eight of Cups is just about leaving something behind that isn't aligning for you anymore. And the way this looks to me is that you're in a good place and you're deciding that there are things you're ready to let go of, and you're able to do that. So a simple example of this might be deciding to leave your job if you happen to win $5 million in the lottery. So it's something like that where your wishes have been fulfilled and you're happy and you can see all the things that don't really fit in your life anymore. Now that oracle card on the far right is of a bird soaring towards the infinity symbol, and I just got the words to infinity and beyond. So the energy of this image is making me think of freedom and infinite potential. And I'm also seeing the sun in this image, and that always makes me think of happiness and masculine energy. But I just got Sol Invictus as a message as well. So Sol Invictus is about the Roman god of the sun, Sol. And the meaning of Sol Invictus is that the sun is unconquered or unconquerable. So that message is again conveying that sense of an energy that is unstoppable. So there is a lot of strongly positive energy coming off this card, and so I absolutely love it. The message of this card is you are never stuck, you have endless choices. And yes, exactly, this card is saying that you are free and unstoppable. And things get even better because you might have been wondering what that blank card in the middle was about. But the blank card is one of my favorite cards in the deck that it comes from. And I might just quickly tell you what that deck is. So that deck pretty much features cards that relate to different crystals, and they're all shown as different butterflies. So each card in the deck has a title, it has a butterfly shown in the pattern of the crystal it's talking about, and then it has some keywords as well. So all the cards are like that except for this one card, which is the blank card. And the message of the blank card is actually, again, of that of infinite potential and the fact that there is nothing at all limiting you from following your path. So this is pretty much the same message as the card I just talked about. So it's being doubly emphasized, and I'm actually feeling like maybe Lord Ganesha's blessings have already kicked in, because there's this sense that there are no obstacles in your path and you can just pursue your goals. Now, I'd love to stop the reading here, but unfortunately, I can't quite close this reading off because of the energies I was getting from the bottom of the deck. So that was about how we've been inflexible and not dealing with the fact that the way we're currently operating might not be the best way. And that didn't really seem like it came up again in the rest of the reading, but it is the energy of the bottom of the deck, and so it is important to this reading. So I think these messages around infinite potential are emphasizing that you are limitless and that you might need to stop limiting yourself. So if you've always seen yourself a certain way, it's time to ditch that idea. Now, I didn't say it earlier, but the idea of infinite potential also brings us to the Fool in the Major Arcana, because it's the card 0 in the Major Arcana. And the Fool is someone who is open to whatever shows up. He hasn't prejudged anything. And now this is getting really interesting, because this is taking me back now to how I started this reading, where I was talking about how divisive the 3D matrix is. So the Fool isn't like that. He hasn't prejudged anything. He's open to exploring people and experiences and discovering what they really are about. So that's what the word flexible was alluding to, I think. And actually I'm seeing how the egg in that image is also about something that hasn't been born yet, something that hasn't stepped out into this world yet. And when that egg hatches, that new life will be just like the Fool, curious and open and willing to explore and discover what the world is all about. So that egg is also representing potential. And when I was talking about division, I was talking about how it is life in the 3D that shapes us into a certain kind of person. So this egg is a reminder that we weren't born that way. We weren't born the way we are. So we were born a blank slate. And again, we're seeing the blank card here, which is again reinforcing this message. We were a blank slate when we were born. And this is turning into a really profound reading, I have to say. And it's funny how what I thought was a random preamble related to cats and politics also seems to relate to this reading. And I love when Spirit does things like that. So what I think this bottom of the deck energy is about is realizing that we're being limited by our conditioning. The things that we are perceiving as obstacles are actually only 3D constructs. We don't have to be limited by these things if we recognize that they only exist because of our conditioning. So if we were to change our beliefs or attitudes, or even just open ourselves up to the fact that we're not right all the time, then these limitations start to become weaker and sometimes they're gone. So in terms of this reading, maybe there is some vision we have that we're working towards, but we've limited it in some way. We've decided that we aren't going to do this thing or that thing. We've decided that there's something we're not going to do because it isn't right for us. And these decisions we're making are the very reason that there are obstacles and problems in our path. So every time we say, I'm doing this in this way because it is the only way, we're shutting ourselves off to all the other possibilities that the universe might have to offer. And of course, some of those other possibilities might be a lot better than the thing we're seeing as the only way. And I actually just thought of the story of Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, which was one of my favorite books as a child. And it fits perfectly with what I'm talking about here because the main character, Phileas Fogg, was actually very Virgo-esque. And I think people who know the story would agree. He was very precise, very organized, very detail-oriented. He was a bachelor who was very much set in his ways. And in the story here enters a wager when he is challenged on his theory that he can make it around the world in 80 days. And sorry, this is not a modern story, so, it was a bit of a deal to get around the world back then. But anyway, Phileas Fogg plans it all out, and it's clear that it can be done in 80 days. But when he actually sets out on his journey, basically nothing goes according to his plans, and he ends up having a very different journey to the one he thought he would have. And despite everything that goes wrong, he makes it back in time to win his wager. And the story is actually much better because the way he ends up getting around the world is a fantastic adventure that involves lots of unexpected experiences. And he even meets and falls in love with a beautiful Indian widow who he rescues in the story. And she comes back to England with him and she becomes his wife. So his whole life is changed because of this adventure. And I guess the reason that story came to me here is that sometimes the journey we plan for ourselves is just too bland and it's too limited and it isn't the amazing adventure that the universe wants us to experience. So if we are willing to step off the beaten path from time to time, we might still get to the destination we want or the outcome we were originally hoping for. But we might also find that we get even more blessings than we were expecting. So this message is about allowing ourselves to be open to exploring new possibilities and being willing to try them out, even if our first impression is that they are not the ones for us. So Phileas Fogg's adventure forced him to forget all his rules and restrictions and follow his instincts. And his wild side had to kick in because the journey got wild. And it was an exhilarating experience for him. And I'm just remembering the song I got earlier because it was from the soundtrack of a movie called The Jewel of the Nile, which was also about a wild adventure with lots of unexpected experiences. And of course, the words of the incredible Buzz Lightyear also showed up here. So something's afoot for whoever this reading is for. And I think if this is you, you're being told that there is a wild adventure coming for you. All the best. I think this is one of those readings where it would be awesome to find out what exactly happens for you. Now, you might not ever come back to this, but if you do, I hope you'll find a way to let me know. You can share it in the comments or you can send me an email. The book and the movie that have come up in this reading were both so much fun. So if this is your reading, you're going to have a blast. Enjoy that. And there's even more to this reading because a bonus card showed up when I was about to pack these cards away, and you're going to love it. It's on the next slide. All right, so this is the bonus card that showed up, and the way it showed up, I was just about to pack up the cards, so I had the tarot deck in my hand, and I was about to pick the tarot cards off the table to put them back in the deck, and this card just fell from the deck, and it landed right on top of the spread. And when I saw it was the Six of Wands, I knew I had to share it. And the other thing that made me feel like it was meant to happen was because we had this blank card in the spread, and so when I put this card in, I could fit it in easily without obscuring anything else in the spread, and I was like, oh, well, that's meant to be, isn't it? But then I saw something else that blew my mind, and that's because the Six of Wands is the success card. It's about victory, success, and recognition. And the thing that blew my mind was that I saw the sun and I saw the olive wreath framing this cat's head. And that just immediately makes me think of Sol Invictus. So this is a card saying that you're winning because you're also inconquerable, like the sun. So this wild adventure you'll be heading into will have you emerging triumphant. And this is such an amazing bonus card to get for this reading. And Spirit always gets me with these perfect synchronicities that happen. So thank you, Spirit. I've absolutely loved this reading. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the reading. It was a pretty cool reading, I thought. As I mentioned earlier, these are the decks that were used in this spread. The tarot deck was the Grimalkin's Curious Cats Tarot. The oracle decks were the Wisdom of the Oracle divination cards, the Psychic Soul Oracle cards for life guidance, and the Love and Magic Oracle, and the crystal obviously was clear quartz. And that's it, everyone. I would just like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed watching the video, please show your support by liking the video or making a comment. Please share the video if you think there would be other people who are interested in it. Yes, do subscribe if you would like to see more of my work in the future. And obviously, if you like my work, you can also watch some of the other videos that I've previously uploaded. I do new moon and full moon readings on this channel, but almost all of my other videos are intended to be timeless readings. If you're interested in checking out my blog page on Facebook, that little thumbnail image on the right shows you what my page looks like. And obviously your support over there would be very welcome too. And finally, I would really like to thank everyone who's already subscribed to the channel because your support means so much to me. And that's it, everyone. I hope that I'll see you at another reading. Take care. Bye.